All right, let's go back to the debate right now and talk some more about that. It was interesting how many other people were on that stage besides Sanders and Clinton, not physically, but in spirit. Barack Obama's name was invoked 45 times. We counted. Here's an example.
The people of New York voted for me twice to be their senator from New York, and President Obama trusted my judgment enough to ask me to be Secretary of State.
The idea that I'm bringing forth, I have to admit it, it wasn't my idea. It was Barack Obama's idea in 2008.
I have laid out a set of actions that build on what President Obama was able to accomplish.
I know you keep referring to Barack Obama all night here.
So you get the picture. With me now, Bernard Whitman, a Hillary Clinton supporter, and Harry Jaffe, author of the book Why Bernie Sanders Matters, and editor-at-large at Washingtonian Magazine. Welcome to both of you.
Good to see you.
Good morning.
Nice to have you here. So, Bernard, why invoke President Obama so many times on that stage?
Well, I mean, he's incredibly popular. Why not? I mean, New York is a Barack Obama town. I think Hillary Clinton is absolutely right. When Bernie Sanders questions Hillary's judgment, you question Barack Obama's judgment. You also, frankly, question the judgment of voters who 55% voted for her when she ran first time around, and when they got a second look at her in 2006, she got the support of 67%. I think that the debate last night really had an incredibly sharp contrast between Bernie and Hillary. I think it's one of substance over style, one of reality over rhetoric, and one of doing over actually just talking about stuff. And each and every time when it comes to Bernie Sanders, he's great on hurling out platitudes and spewing sarcasm, but when it comes to specifics, actual policies, actual proposals, actual actions, whether those are to back up his claims against Hillary Clinton or to back up the actions he plans on taking as president, they're just devoid. They're just not there.
Okay.
I think Hillary came out as very presidential.
So, Harry, do you agree with that? Because some analysts out there do agree that Bernie Sanders was too sarcastic because he has to broaden his base. He has to bring people in, and sarcasm often doesn't work.
Well, Bernie went full Brooklyn on her last night, and Bernie Sanders can't help himself. I mean, he is who he is, and one of the lovable things about Sanders is he really doesn't change. Everybody might want him to be a little more softer and smile more, but that's not who Bernie is. Bernie has reach that is far beyond Brooklyn, and I think that's one of the things we're going to see in this election is that he has a lot of roots and connections in the farming community in upstate New York, in the manufacturing community, and I think that the vote on Tuesday, which really is totally up in the air, is going to surprise a lot of people, and the one who really has a lot to lose is Hillary Clinton, because if Sanders prevails on Tuesday, then she's really in trouble.
So do you believe that, Bernard, that the race is getting ever closer here in New York State, even though every poll kind of doesn't show that?
I don't think so. I think, Bernie Sanders, frankly, from my perspective, is becoming increasingly desperate, increasingly negative. And I think he's brought an important voice to this. But I think that the more time has gone on, he realizes the nomination is really out of reach. He's got 40% of the vote, but Hillary Clinton has 60% of the vote. And the idea that he can somehow win in New York and claim the nomination is basically fantasy. And I think with that in hand, he is becoming incredibly divisive, incredibly derisive, and very negative, which frankly I think does not really do him well or his movement well, and I think ultimately can harm the party. So I feel like while he's done a great job bringing critical issues to the fore, I think he needs to tone down the rhetoric, and I think he needs to recognize that Hillary is going to be the nominee.
I think that both sides have become quite nasty, frankly. I think Hillary Clinton has thrown a few bombs herself at Bernie Sanders, so he's not alone in his nasty attacks. Perhaps a tweet from former Obama advisor Dan Pfeiffer said it best, though. He said, quote, Bernie Sanders is annoyed he is losing this campaign. Hillary Clinton is annoyed he hasn't lost yet. Harry, is there some truth to that?
Oh, absolutely. I think that the entire political establishment in Washington, D.C. and across the country is just shocked that Sanders is still in the game. I think Bernie Sanders himself is still shocked that he's still in the game. Look, I'm not a Sanders supporter. I am his biographer. And I can tell you that his entire career, he has surprised opponents. And I think that nobody knows what's going to happen on Tuesday. I think that he has a whole lot of momentum. I mean, he has won, 6 of the last 7 contests. I mean, he's not, kind of a fluke. At this point, he's real competition.
He is real competition, Bernard. And, you know, he could pull a Michigan surprise in New York State. You never know.
I doubt that's going to happen. I think he will get a number of votes, but I think Hillary Clinton is going to prevail. And I think increasingly as we get towards May, we're going to need to focus on the ultimate nominee, likely to be Donald Trump. And I think Hillary can draw some very sharp contrast with the dangerous, divisive rhetoric coming out of the Trump campaign versus someone who can actually reach across the aisle and bring people together. I mean, one of my problems with Bernie Sanders is he's so far outside, and he positions himself as wanting to tear down everything and blow up the entire organization, that how is he going to work across the aisle to put this back together again? We need someone with a demonstrated ability to reach across the aisle and work together in common to solve problems.
Let me ask you both about this, because you're seeing that little square there. That's Vatican City, and Bernie Sanders is going to speak before this Vatican conference, right? He's hoping to meet with Pope Francis. Those are actually Bernie Sanders supporters. See him, Bernie. Oh, he may be coming out right now, so let's just watch for a second. Okay, so Bernie's just arriving. Take the banner down, please. Okay, so you see people even in Rome. Some people are excited to see Bernie Sanders going into Vatican City to deliver his speech. He's hoping to meet with Pope Francis. Don't know if he will. Harry, why did Bernie Sanders take a break from the campaign trail just a few days before the primary here in New York to go to Vatican City?
That's a great question. I think that Sanders honestly feels a kinship and camaraderie with the Pope. And they're speaking the same language, except that, you know, the Pope is talking about global matters of income inequality and climate change, and that's in Bernie Sanders' wheelhouse. So he sees a true comrade, and I don't know, you're invited to the Vatican, you say, okay, I'll show up, and I think that it plays well in this country. I think that if Hillary Clinton had been invited, I think she'd have gone to Rome. It just shows very, very well. It shows his strength, and it shows that he can be, frankly, above politics some of the time.
All right, I have to leave it there. Bernard Whitman, Harry Jaffe, thanks to both of you.
Pleasure
Coming
to
up
be
this
with you.
afternoon, nice to have you here.